Welcome to Living Redacted, where we uncover the lived experiences of people in conflict.
NutHouse Chatter creates spaces for critical and hilarious conversations that model how to thrive when living with trauma. Living Redacted is one of these spaces. Here we uncover the lived experiences of people in conflict. And why are we hilarious? Because, humor is important for coping. Welcome to our space.
Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Ali.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Unredacting our lived experiences in conflict to develop new perspectives.
So today we're going to be introducing a new series. It's going to be, I don't know how many episodes, honestly. We're going to do the series till it's done. So I honestly wish, Laura, these passports can speak.
Why do you have two passports?
A lot of travel and no more papers inside for the stamps. If only the passports can speak.
But you can speak.
I will speak instead of the passports. So we're going to be discussing the lived experiences when I retired medically from the Army after 12 years. We're going to go through the trips, the stamps on my passports, and I'll tell you the stories and how when I got out of the Army, I replaced my uniform with the uniform of a humanitarian aid worker and why my perspective changed through volunteering with a few different American NGOs in Syria, in Iraq, in Haiti, in Egypt, in Ukraine as well.
Why and how does development shift when you move from the role of soldier to humanitarian?
So why and how did you change when you shifted from a soldier on deployment to a humanitarian aid worker who was volunteering?
So Laura, in special operations, we're really good at what we do. We're laser focused on the mission. So if an elephant walked in the room, you won't see it. You're told what you need to do and you're given the tools to be successful in your mission.
Changing neurocognitive capacities, the advantages and limitations of hyperfocus.
I think it's important for people to understand how that happens cognitively and what is going on in the brain. You're calling it laser focused. We call it in the cognitive sciences hyperfocus. Okay, and some people are really good at hyperfocus. They can dive into something and it's almost like a horse with blinders. They only see the thing they're focused on. And hyperfocus, there are lots of different types of people who are good at hyperfocus, and we could talk about their profiles. One that is counterintuitive is that people with a profile that's similar to attention deficit, where they have hypofocus or they have a difficult time focusing on one thing because they can take in all of the stimuli in the environment. They also can hyperfocus, and they can hyperfocus for long amounts of time. And so this, I'm just dropping in there because there will be people listening who are like, wait, that's me. I had a colleague who went to get a neuropsych eval in his 50s, and he said, no one believed that I had attention deficit because I'd already written 7 books. And I was like, of course you wrote 7 books. When did you write them? 2 a.m.? He's like, yeah, 2 a.m. I'm like, classic ADD, right? So this capacity to hyperfocus has lots of evolutionary advantages. And especially in combat zones, a hyperfocus would keep you alive.
That's true.
Really important.
And also, I really want to shed light to my friends who's out or about to get out. Volunteering in war zones and going back as a humanitarian aid worker, it's really challenging because you're pretty much on your own. And it gets really, really dangerous very fast.
When you're shifting then to a humanitarian aid worker, and you don't have the support that you have, the support sort of takes care of the structures in the environment that need to be tended to so you can hyperfocus, right?
True.
Okay, so there's a whole probably team, I'm not really sure because I've never been involved, but I can imagine there's a team of people tending to things that you don't need to pay attention to so you can focus on only what you need to pay attention
Exactly. That's 100% true. I tried to take my experiences with me to the nonprofit organization, American nonprofit organization I volunteered with in Syria and Iraq. And I will tell you in the episodes, how did this go?
Changing neurocognitive capacities, processing novel stimuli changes our perspectives.
Because see, when we're in, you gotta go there to do this and come back, right? Boom, boom. This one is like you're seeing everything. You're like, wow, I see all this. Wow.
The blinders are off.
The blinders are off because there's nobody telling me what to think. Because in the army, they tell you they train you how to think, really. They tell you what to do your job, right? Yes.
Let me follow up on something you just said that's really important. So I want to say that the brain is really lazy. It is a lazy organ. It's like every other muscle in the body. Once you train it to do something, it wants to do that same thing in the same way. So if you have
Why?
because it wants to be lazy is probably a funny way to say it. That actually came from Zvia Brezhnev, Israeli Jewish neuropsychologist. All right, so that's like the way that she describes it. But it's essentially as efficient as possible. So when you train your brain to function in a certain way, which leads to certain types of thinking, right? Brain doesn't equal mind. The neurology supports the thinking. If you train your brain to function in certain sorts of ways, it will naturally function in that way. And it's not going to change the way that it functions unless it must. Unless it must. It doesn't just wake up one day and it's like, yeah, I'm going to think in a different way. I'm going to function in a different way. Nope.
Right.
You have to actively expose yourself to environments that demand that you change your thinking. And you have to be willing to change your thinking.
And I had to do this, and it was a wake-up call, and it changed my perspective on war. It really changed my perspective on war, totally. And I was like, wow, we were so blind. We were really so blind. Plus, I'm originally from the Middle East. When I moved to America, and I've been living here for 25 years, my perspective changed as well.
Changing neurocognitive capacities, the advantage of cross-cultural understanding.
Hold on one second. I want to touch on something you just said that's also really important. You're switching back and forth between cultures and geographies, countries, all those things. Allows you to perceive more in the environment. If we think another function of the brain is it gets very trained to perceive certain things. I was talking with a colleague and he's diving into coffee, into the science of coffee and the temperature and all of this, the roasting, everything. And he's like, do you taste this flavor in the coffee? I'm like, I think so. And then someone else in the group was like, I don't taste that flavor. They've never been exposed to the flavor, so they can't even process it.
That's
so
true.
Sometimes, if I'm an American and I go to another country and I see a set of stimuli in my environment, I might not even see what's there because I don't have any framework for recognizing it. I have to be taught that there's something there to pay attention to, and that thing that's there is actually, important or not important. Or I might pay attention to things that I've been trained to pay attention to that aren't even important in another environment.
That's true, and that's why I did in Ukraine, because I didn't speak the language.
Changing neurocognitive capacities, because you must.
I had support from amazing Ukrainian people that I met and became friends with, and they're awesome, really, really awesome. So I had their support, and they're trustworthy and they're awesome. I'm very, very lucky and very fortunate to have met the people that I met and volunteered with, because they honestly kept me safe and they were awesome, and I love them. I love them very much.
And then you needed to probably pay attention to different stimuli in the environment. If you couldn't use language as a structure to interpret what's going on, you're using different stimuli to make sense of what's around you. Yeah, so that's a perfect example of if you cannot think in a certain way, you're forced to think in a different way.
True that. So I see things that my friends aren't seeing because of the lived experiences. That's all.
Privilege, using our voice for victims of war.
Another thing I wanted to cover, I feel like I have to be the voice of all the victims that I came across in war zones. From their point of view, from their perspective, to speak about the stories I was involved in.
And the things they told you.
And the things they told me.
The things they shared with you.
Yes, because they won't share it with somebody that doesn't speak the language, or like they won't feel comfortable. Feel they can trust me and talk to me. Especially they like same. We're same. So I can talk to you. Like, for example, Laura, this is a pencil case in one of my deployments. It was laying next to a dead girl. Okay, her name is Amira. And it's so sad. She's in the 3rd grade, and she had a poem in there, but I'm not gonna read because I don't want to get emotional right now. But I will read it at one point.
Okay.
It's sad, so I need to be her voice. Why is this girl dead?
I
a
love
war.
what you just did. I just want to point this out for people who are watching and listening. Developing metacognition, thinking about our thoughts. As we develop, we get to use not just our thinking, but our thinking about our thinking, and that's called metacognition.
Yes, I do
Okay.
this.
And you just...
But it wasn't easy. It took
you
time.
just did it. And you said, if I do this, I will get emotional, and I don't want to be emotional right now. And so you're being the gatekeeper of your own emotional experience. And so 2 thumbs up for modeling that for everybody watching. Acknowledging death and loss.
And most important is this card. This is from Shannon Kent. And I read it so many times and I got emotional so many times. So this card from Shannon. Shannon got killed in Syria in 2019. And I went there twice after her death to see like what happened, to talk to the people, to talk to the owner of the restaurant, to talk to the guy that his son was cutting the gyros shawarma employee in the restaurant, and he got killed. He was young. He was like 18. His father has shrapnel all over his hands and legs, and he can't take them out because he doesn't have the money.
Are we going to
So
show
he's sitting-
the viewers your footage from that, or are we going to save that for another time?
We're gonna show the footage, and I will. And when we talk about Shannon, I want to do an episode about Shannon because she deserves more than one episode. She deserves a lot. She was
heavy.
one of my best friends, and I love her. Yes, so I will read you what she wrote in this card. And
Thank you for trusting
and what I know,
us.
and 100%. I didn't want to do this in the beginning. I wanted to do it later. I wasn't ready.
Using metacognition to integrate lived experiences.
And I'll tell you something, Laura, I'm doing this honestly as well to have closure, and move on from all this because it's been hard. Like, I'll tell you something, I don't speak to anybody in Ukraine anymore. All these nice, amazing, gorgeous people, amazing, beautiful people that I met and became more than friends, I don't talk to them anymore. I had to cut ties. And I told them, I'll talk to them after the war ends because I'm tired of losing friends because of war. War sucks. And then we will discuss through my lived experiences as a humanitarian aid worker and an army dude.
Critical analyses from lived experiences in conflict.
Why America is in the position it is now.
So many
And
different
how-
perspectives on one topic, right? It's so
And
good.
how do we make enemies? It's all connected, Laura. It's really all connected. All these wars and we're making so much enemies, so much enemies, and then here we go.
And it's
This is the situation we're in right now
feeding
because of our actions, not mine, or maybe I was in as well.
acknowledging personal growth.
This last year, I grew and learned so much about me and about the world I live in, really, and about people that live here. Some people are amazing, and some people,
Can I raise my hand? If I were in
Yes.
Ukraine, I'd raise it like this. That's how my students raise their hands. Me too. I feel like being able to do at least the humanitarian aid work in Ukraine has very much opened my eyes. And conversations that we'll have will probably continue to open my eyes. So thank you for that and for teaching me as you are learning yourself.
You're welcome. It's simple. It's simple.
It's not simple.
Shed light
It's
on
not simple.
shed light on the
Yes,
lived
that's the
experiences.
simple part.
People know me. People
Yep.
trust me. Not everybody
Yeah.
trusts me. Not everybody know me, but people can see, right? That's why I'm being vulnerable on this channel and telling the world my experiences. It's not easy. It's
It
hard.
is hard.
But it's actually a way, when you're brave, it's a way shedding light on how did we get to where we're at now. I want people to know. It's good for them to know.
Remembering human complexity. And I love that you say it's simple and it's not simple, because I feel there is a movement in, at least in our country, and when I say our, I mean the United States, and I call it the intentional forgetting of our complexity. That we are complex as humans, and we are just simply forgetting that complexity, and we're gravitating towards singular emotional responses, when in reality, we have multiple emotional responses at the same time, all the time.
To learn more, like, subscribe, and share Living Redacted with your friends and colleagues.